This is Canada Reads American Style, featuring two friends who love Canada Reads and Canadian literature. Welcome our host Rebecca from Michigan and Tara from Ontario.
Hello and welcome to Canada Reads American Style. This is Tara and I'm here today with my special guest, Jen Sookfong Lee. Hello, Jen.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so excited to have you. Before we jump into your book, I'm going to read a little bio, your intro. So
Okay.
Jen Sookfong Lee was born and raised in Vancouver's East Side, and she now lives with her son in North Burnaby. Her memoir, Superfan, How Pop Culture Broke My Heart, was a finalist for the 2024 Forest of Reading Evergreen Award and the City of Vancouver Book Award, was named the Best Book of 2023 by the Globe and Mail and Apple Books Canada, and was a Today Show recommended read. Jen is also the author of The Conjoined, longlisted for the International Dublin Literary Award and a finalist for the Ethel Wilson Fiction Prize, The Better Mother, a finalist for the City of Vancouver Book Award, The End of East, The Shadow List, and Finding Home. In addition to writing, Jen also acquires and edits books for ECW Press. Her latest novel, The Hunger We Pass Down, is available September 30th, 2025 from Erewhon Books. And that's what we're here to discuss.
Amazing.
I know, I am so excited. As I mentioned, I read this over the summer. I love horror. So when I saw that this book was available on NetGalley, I jumped at it because I love horror. And anyways, let's start off. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let you tell us about The Hunger We Pass Down.
Well, it's sort of a hybrid horror novel. I guess it's fully a horror novel, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And it's about a single mom named Alice Chow who wakes up one morning and all the stuff that she's left undone, because she's a very busy lady, has all been done for her. So all her household chores are done, all the tasks she has to do for her small business are done. And she thinks, okay, that's super weird. Did I do that because I was drinking too much and I've forgotten, or what's going on? And as time goes on, she's realizing that there's lots of gaps in her memory, but at the same time, she's also appreciating that all this work is done. So eventually what ends up happening, she ends up talking to her mom at the same time about their family's sort of intergenerational trauma, which originates with her great grandmother and her story as a comfort woman during World War II in Hong Kong. And then they slowly realize that all of these things that are occurring, strange things occurring in her house, are related to all of these old stories. And then the family might be haunted or cursed or not.
You got to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, it's a horror. Can you tell me why you think horror works so well when you're discussing with issues of motherhood, intergenerational trauma, and identity?
I make this joke, but it's actually not really a joke, is that having a female body is a horror show. Let's be honest. Like, in all the different iterations, like, now I'm in perimenopause. What a horror show that is. But I think for me, anything that's really difficult to talk about, anything that we don't have, either the emotional capacity or like linguistic capacity to talk about, is so much easier to discuss when you do it with storytelling, and in particularly something with horror where the trauma that you feel or the weird feelings that you have literally become a demon that's talking to you. Like, imagine your worst fears and your worst traumas as a thing, as a creature speaking to you and doing things. And for me anyway, I think it's like the ideal way to discuss things. Like, let's as I say, I lure you in with like demons and hauntings, but really we're talking about your family's intergenerational trauma. I'm sorry, not sorry.
No, don't apologize for it. It's no. That is true though, because it almost gives. It is true. I've never thought about it, but being in a female body is a horror show from like the time really pre-adolescence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like body horror.
It is.
And if you can have like a concrete reason or something to blame for it. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nicer or not? It would might be
Yes.
horrible, but like it's equal parts helps you process, but also like it would be also horrible if you or actual demon that was represented like, I don't know, your grandmother's worst nightmare like came
Yeah.
to life. But maybe being seeing it would be a relief. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I almost think like, because I'm menopausal, and so it's all kinds of stuff happening. And it would be nice to be like, now that's why my breasts are doing that. Got it. Fine. Like,
I truly, I literally had a doctor's appointment like yesterday or Wednesday, and it was I was talking to my doctor, and I was like, so this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and I'm like, why? She's like, my dear, it's hormones. I'm sorry. It's like,
yeah,
ugh, yuck.
I know. I know. I remember when I first started, when I was perimenopausal, looking up something because my skin got really itchy and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, I would be up for an hour at nighttime in the middle of the night scratching my arm. And I went and Googled it. Of course, the next morning, it's like, oh, yes, sometimes you feel like insects are like climbing over your skin during peri. I'm like, seriously. What?
So perimenopause is making you think you have bed bugs. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, this. And this is not something that we're taught beforehand. You just have to figure it out. That
Thank
is a
you.
horror show.
What a great time to be
Yeah,
to have live in a female body. What a great time.
it really is. Okay, in your book, there are two houses. Namku Terrace in 1938 Hong Kong, because we have a two timelines going on in the book, and Alice's home in Vancouver in 2024. And they play major roles in the book. What role do the houses play in the characters' lives?
It's so funny to me. I didn't realize this until well into writing this book that it is essentially a haunted house story, like the Amityville Horror or like, The Haunting of Hill House, all of these sort of really classic haunted house things. For me, like Namku Terrace is the genesis of where all the terrible things start happening to this family, where the original hauntings and the original sort of violence and all of those things occur. And Namku Terrace is a real place in Hong Kong. If you Google it, you can see lots of creepy images of it. It's still standing, it's dilapidated. There's like basically a jungle growing around it now, and it's like fenced off. And ghost hunters really like to go in there and try to find stuff because allegedly it was used as a place for comfort women, and allegedly the spirits of those ladies are still in there. So for me, what I was always thinking is that storytelling, particularly with family stories, but also like myth making, is passed down quite often through mothers and daughters and grandmothers and what have you. And I was thinking in particular about women of the Asian diaspora, how they are often the first ones of their families to move to another place, work either as nannies or domestic helpers, and then after many years bring their families over. So the responsibility of the sort of like actual labor, like capitalist labor, is on their shoulders, but also the responsibilities of like emotional labor and like storytelling labor is also on their shoulders. So in my mind, Namku Terrace is the origin of everything, and because the family, through its women, moves to Canada and then to this house in Vancouver, they're kind of the same. They're just like different in the way that my trauma is the same as my grandmother's trauma,
Mhm.
and the family is passed down. The house also, in a way, gets passed down.
In your book, you mentioned comfort women.
Hmm.
This was not, I was not familiar with comfort women. Do you want to discuss that a
Yeah,
little bit? Yeah.
yeah. So during the Second World War, when the Japanese military was trying to colonize basically most of Asia, they would kidnap, imprison women in whatever country they were, occupying, and use them as sex workers, involuntary sex workers, sex slaves, actually, if you, it's human trafficking.
Hmm.
And sometimes these women would move with them as a regiment moved. Sometimes these women were housed, as the rumor is that they were housed in Namku Terrace. I don't know that any of that is true. It's like a historical rumor, but yeah, so that was very common, and that happened a lot with women in China, women in Korea, and women in other countries as well. So that was a very common thing, and it was actually a story. I think comfort women was one of the earliest stories that I heard from my aunties on my dad's side. So it's
Okay.
very common story. Yeah.
Yeah. when the book opens with Nam Kuteris and the great grandmother being abducted into Nam Kuteris, I the way that the book is set up, like, well, I thought it was, I'll be honest, like a demon or something supernatural that had kidnapped her, and then to continue the reading and find out that that part of it is not a supernatural aspect. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, it's terrifying, but not in a supernatural way, just as in humans doing to humans.
No, humans enact terrible things on other people,
Yeah.
and that's the like the horror of life, which is, I think, so much a part of this book, is that like the horror of life is actually the thing that begets the hauntings and the demons. And if we were nicer to each other, would we be haunted at all? Like, that's, I think, like a really relevant question, and particularly like in this day and age when politically and like sociopolitically we're so divided, and when people are, you know, making decisions that are forcing you know, other people to like making decisions on behalf of other people's bodies and taking control of like women's bodies, or taking control of like trans or non-binary bodies, like these types of things, you have to wonder. Well, actually, you don't have to wonder. We do know that they will have ripple effects, as both for the person but involved, but also like later on for their descendants as well. So like, yeah, everyone should be nicer to each other. Maybe we won't have ghosts.
Yeah. That's a great thought. Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But having said that, I feel like we need to talk about anger and women.
Yeah.
And I love this quote in the book: to the tightly oiled bitterness released by a woman the world had never noticed before. And what happens when that anger is released?
Yeah.
Sorry, before, that's the end of the quote. And then my part is, what happens when that anger is released?
I think when women are angry, and like in particularly in Asian cultures, but I think in general, women, anger is not an emotion that women are encouraged to display or perform. And so, which is not to say women feel anger, we feel rage all the time, like constantly. And so if we're not allowed to express it, what does that do for anybody? And like, I know for me, and I think for a lot of women out there, or non-masked people, that it gets buried, and then you have to go to counseling, or you become an author and you write about it, but you never, it does terrible things to your mental health. It does terrible things to the mental health of the people that you're caring for, which a lot of women obviously care for children and families. And so, I mean, that rage is always a really rich well to draw from as an author for me. Like, I think that I've spent most of my life being really angry and not saying so. And so, you know, now I'm 49, almost 50, and I'm like, I have no more, you know, shits left to give. Like, I
Mhm.
am going to be angry and I'll write about the anger. And quite frankly, I do think that the anger is also really useful. It can be really scary, particularly if the, you know, you're somebody who's not used to expressing anger. But like, I also think that anger is also really useful as an agent of change too. So yeah, good
Yeah.
things and bad things can happen.
As a reader, I love anger and vengeance in my books,
Yeah,
especially lately over the last couple of years. I'm like, give me all the vengeance. I want to see it on that page.
me too.
Yeah, because I think because I'm not someone I'm not going to go out and punch someone, as sometimes I would like to, but I'm
Mhm.
not going to. But if I can see it on my page, like someone's head being ripped off, who like thoroughly deserves to have their head ripped off, bring it on. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bring it on. Exactly. Let's
yeah,
let's have someone fight a demon and see what happens.
yeah, yeah. I recently read Stephen Graham Jones's latest book, The Buffalo Hunter Hunter. That's a good one for vengeance too.
Okay, I haven't read it. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's good.
Making a note. Okay.
Yeah, take a note. Really good one for vengeance. Okay, I just told you what I just read. I love to end an interview by asking you some of your favorite current books, what you've currently read, anything, because we love to build our TBR.
Yeah, okay. One book that I just read, and I'm gonna Google it real quick because it has a very long subtitle that there it is, that I really, really loved is called Girl on Girl, How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And by Sophie Gilbert. It is so, so good. And she really does look at all of these moments of sort of late 90s, early 2000s depictions of girlhood in pop
Yeah.
culture and what that did to women and things like, eating disorders or like, in this age of Ozempic, this is like a really relevant topic. So good. I tore through it. It's also really funny. And one book that I just finished reading is a novel by a Canadian author called Variations on a Dream by Angelique Lalonde. And it is actually about a crumbling marriage, but she gives it so much like space and emotional depth. And she writes in a really, I mean, I hate using this word, but I think it's true. She writes in a really innovative way where like the language is quite porous, where identity is not really quite what it seems. And I think sometimes we think that like say divorce is a really mundane topic because it can be. It's a very everyday topic, very common. But in this book, she gives that sort of like intimate, the extravagant treatment of like a great artist, like, and I really, really thought it was fascinating writing, really interesting.
I think the first book that you mentioned that's a fairly new book too, right? I think.
Girl on Girl came out, I want to say last fall,
Oh, okay.
and
Because
Variations on a Dream by Angelique Lalonde, I think, is coming out in like next spring. It's new.
oh, okay, very
It
new.
might
Okay,
be it might be on Neck Alley.
okay, I will check it out. And
Yeah,
the Girl on Girl is on my TBR because I have heard of that one.
it's
And
really
it's okay. Yeah, I'm really because it's so I have two kids. They are like 19 and 21, boy and girl, and it's so funny. So we'll rewatch over the last couple of years, especially with COVID, a lot of the older shows from the 2000s that I would have watched and stuff
Yep.
like this. And it's just at times appalling
It's
what we
appalling.
watched.
If people wonder why we're so mad all the time, look what
Yes.
pop culture did to us when we were young.
Yes, because with my youngest, my son, we're rewatching How I Met Your Mother with Neil
Oh,
Patrick. Oh yeah, no, it's at times funny, but horrible. And my daughter was in another room the other night. We were watching it, and she's like, "Holy misogyny!" And it's like, "Yep, yeah, it's
yeah,
brutal.
yeah.
It's terrible." And I'm like, "That's what in the 2000s we did as women to each other, not just men, but like." It was all,
And
if you want it to be cool.
even with some shows that are like a little less so, but still, like Friends, for example, there are
Mm,
moments in Friends where I'm like, I can't with
I
this.
know.
The homophobia, the fat
Hmm.
phobia, the like, why do all these women look like they're a size zero? Like, it was
Yes.
just, and like the whiteness of it, I was like, this, it's supposed to
Yep.
be Manhattan. Not everyone looks like this. Most people don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no one's queer in it.
Nope.
It's yeah, except Neil Patrick Harris, who obviously is playing a straight man who's it's bad.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it is
Look what they did to us. Come on now.
I know. And yet still I'm here, I'm watching it because it's like now I'm invested to see who the damn mother is at the end of it because I never did finish watching it. But at the whole time that we're watching it, so I'm taking a tangent here now. And the main character, Ted, I'm like, he's such a douchebag. And my son
Wait,
is like, he
is it
really is.
Jason Segel? Who is the main character?
No, oh my God, what is his? I can't even remember the actor's name because I'm not sure that he did anything. So Jason Segel is like the main actor's best friend. They're all kind of the main actors. He's probably the nicest character of
Okay.
the bunch. The rest of them they're terrible.
Who is the mother then? Do you know?
I don't know. That's why I've got to keep watching it. No idea. We watched it. My husband and I watched it for a few seasons when it was originally on. Then my son wanted to rewatch it, so I was like, "Ugh, well, I'm here. I'm going to watch it now or something." And I'm like, I don't want to, but I've got to find out who the mother is because I'm like, who is going to marry this man? I don't know who it is. Anyways, on that tangent, don't watch How I Met Your Mother. Read your book. Read The Hunger We Passed Down.
Do that
Yes.
instead. Yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And happy reading, everyone. Pick up Jen's book.
Thank you for joining us on our bookish journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing Canada Reads American Style wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads American Style and with Tara at On a Branch Reads. Until next time, keep reading.